So we are live. Hi everyone, welcome back to Geeks for Geeks practice. Today in this video we'll be solving the Geeks for Geeks problem of the day for 11th of Feb. The name of the problem is remove leading zeros from an IP address. So all of you can just consider giving me a quick +1 in the chat if my voice is visible to everyone and the screen is perfectly visible, so that within a couple of minutes once everyone else joins in, so we can start with this particular problem, right? You can just give me a +1 in the chat and like the video as well, so that we can start with this particular problem, right? So this was the problem of the day. Hi Zaid. So this was the problem of the day for yesterday, that is 11th of Feb. The name of the problem is remove leading zeros from an IP address. So I'll just wait for some time for everyone else to join till then, and then I'll start. Hi Kiran, and hi to everyone. A very good afternoon to everyone, right? Okay, I'll be starting it with this problem quite soon. I'll just wait for some time for everyone else to join. Till then, like, I'll also like to tell you something about this channel that we have, Code Era. So we have another channel that is Code Era. So on this channel we post a lot about lead code daily challenges. Apart from this, we post every video of lead code daily challenges. Apart from this, we cover lead code weekly challenges, that is the weekly contests that are happening. Apart from this, we also cover code forces at Code Era editorial. So you can consider to subscribe this channel. You can just search Code Era and this channel would come, or you can find the channel in the featured section of this particular channel, that is GFG practice, right? So now coming back to this particular problem, all of you can just like the video. A quick like to the video would give me a head start, and all of you who have joined just now, just give me a +1 in the chat so that I can start with this particular problem as soon as possible, right? I'll be starting within a minute for this particular problem, so let me check. Okay, so remove leading zeros from an IP address, right? So this problem says that what you have to do is you have to remove, in this particular problem you have to remove leading zeros from an IP address, right? So it says that you will be given an IP address. It says that you will be given an IP address, and what you have to do with this particular IP address is you have to remove all the leading zeros from that particular IP address. What does this mean? What does this mean? Maybe the statement is not very much clear, but let's read. So you'll be given an IP address and you have to remove the leading zeros from that particular IP address. You have to note that the IP address here can be a little different. It can have numbers greater than 255 as well. Generally the numbers are not greater than 255, but since this is the IP address of GFG, so that's why it can be greater than 255 as well. And what it is not necessary that it is only a 4 number, right? It is not necessary that it is 4 number. So you have to the count can be lesser or more. So you'll be given a particular IP address and you have to convert it after. You have to remove all the leading zeros from that IP address, right? So let's write this 100.0.2. Let me write this particular thing, that is 100.020 dot, right? That is dot. Next, what I have 003 and then I have 400, right? So I have 003 and I have dot 400, right? How will you remove all the, hi Shreya, right? Was the previous problem clear to you? I hope that the previous problem in the last live stream was clear to you guys, right? Okay, so, right, so this particular, all of you can just give a like to the video because I'll be starting with the explanation, right? So suppose that this is the IP address that has been given to you. Obviously it will be given to you in form of a string. So what you have to do is, this is 100, it does not have any leading zero, so that's why you will write 100. But if you have 0 to 0, so you will remove this 0, right? You will remove this particular 0. So if you will remove this 0, so what does it become? It becomes nothing but this thing, right? It becomes, you will write it as dot 20, and then you will write, instead of this 003, since you have 003, so you have trailing zeros before it, like you have leading zeros, so you will remove this 0, you will remove this 0, so it will just be this 3, right? Okay, is this much quite clear to everyone? Just give me a +1 in the chat, a clear in the chat from your side. A little acknowledgement would help, right? So this will be dot 3 and this would be dot. Now this 400 is perfectly fine because it does not have leading zeros, so it will be dot 400, right? So it will be 100 dot 20 dot 3 dot 400. This would be my final answer after removing all the leading zeros. Please write clear in the chat, or please give me a +1 in the chat if this much part is clear to everybody, right? Is it clear to everyone? Is my video lagging or something? I hope that it isn't. Okay. I hope that it isn't, right? So this is what is the part. Please give me a plus one in the chat if up till now things are clear to you, right? So that you can see 100.20.3.400, right? So you can see 100.20.3.400, right? This was the IP address. Now let's check out another example. Let's check out another example that has been given to us. This is basically an implementation based problem. If you are good with implementations in strings, so you can definitely do this problem, right? All of you can consider to like this video, right? Now next up, what you have to do is you have 100.000.01. Let me write this. So you have 100.3 zeros, and you have what dot 010 dot 010 dot 0 999, something like this, right? Actually this is GFG's IP address, so that's why you cannot do much about it, right? Okay, this is the IP address that's been given to me, right? So if I'm giving this particular IP address, right, so this is given in form of a string. So what I'll be extracting each particular IP address. That is perfectly fine, but let's try to see. If I have this as 100, so this is perfectly fine. I'll write it. So I'll write 100 dot, then I'll say, okay, this is 000. What will I do in this place? I know that for this 010, this is 010. So I'll write 10 instead of this, right? And this part also I'll write 999 because 10 leading 0 I'll be removing, right? So this is dot that I have a dot, right? A dot is here. A dot is here. What will I do here? What will I do here? Only one problem today. This is the problem of the day for today, man. All of you can just like the video, right? All of you can just like the video. If the explanation up till now is clear, consider to like this video so that we can have a good start with this video. Now, in this particular thing, one thing that you need to observe is, for this particular thing, right? For this particular thing, for this particular number, you have 000. What will you do if you have all zeros? Like this is the edge case for this particular problem. Let's suppose if this was 001, if this was 001, then you could have written 1. If this was 00 something, so you could have written something, right? But if it is all 0, right, this is 000. In that case, if this is 000, so you will have to write a 0. A single 0 should be present here, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? Please give me a plus one in the chat if this much part is clear to everyone. And also you can consider to like this video, right? Is this much part clear to everybody? Is this much part clear to everyone? Just let me know in the chat, right? That if you have all zeros, then you will write 0. So this will be what? 100.0.0 dot not 100.0.10, right? 100.0.10.999, right? So let me see the final answer. So you can see the final answer is 100.0.10.999, right? So this much part is clear to all of you. All of you can just give me a plus one in the chat. A quick plus one in the chat would help. A quick plus one in the chat, right? So that I can move to the implementation part, right? So if all of them are zeros, so you can see that you will have 10 at least, right? Because otherwise it would become invalid, right? So that's why if you have all zeros, so in that case you need to just print 10, right? That is the edge case that you need to consider, right? Okay, now let's move on with the solution part. So let's say if I was given only this particular IP address, let's consider this IP address first of all, right? Or maybe let's consider IP address like this. Just give me a second, I'll tell you. Right? So suppose that I was given an IP address like this, right? Suppose that this was an IP address that was given to me, right? So with this particular IP address, what I could have done is, I know that this is a given string, right? I know for sure that this is a given string. Now, how do you identify the numbers? So I can say that this is one dot, this is another dot. So between two dots, whatever string that I am having, this particular string that I am having, that will be the number, right? That will be the number. Is this much part clear? Whatever string I am having in between the two dots, that will be my number, right? Now the thing is that let's suppose that you start, right? So when will you extract numbers, right? So you need to extract numbers. In terms of strings. So first of all, you have 100, right? You have 100. So till here you will say, okay, temp, you will have a variable temp, and you will say temp plus is equal to s of I. Temp plus is equal to s of I. If my s of I is not equal to dot, right, in that case I'll keep on adding it, right? All of you can just like the video. A like to the video would help, right? Because I'm trying to take it takes me a lot of effort to explain things in such detail, right? Now I have 100, right? I'll say okay, since I have 100, so 1 would be there, then 0 would be there, then 0 would be there. I'll say okay, that's perfectly fine. So what will I do afterwards? Since this 100 is perfectly fine, so I'll say that okay, I'll do temp. I'll have a final answer. Maybe I'll say answer. Initially my answer would be null. I'll say answer plus is equal to temp plus dot, right? Temp plus dot, right? Because what will happen? 100 plus dot is something that I want in my answer. So my answer will be storing now 100 plus dot, 100 dot, right? 100 dot. So this is my answer. Answer would be 100 dot, right? Something like this, right? Up till now here would be my answer. Now whenever I encounter a dot, so what will I do? I'll mark my temp as null. Whenever I encounter a dot, I'll mark my temp as null, right? I'll mark my temp as null. And what I'll do is, now my I would be at this particular index, right? 4, at this index 4, right? Is up till now things are clear to you? Please write clear in the chat so that I can understand that whether you have understood or not. If you are stuck somewhere, you can let me know. You can write clear in the chat if everything up till now is clear to you, right? I'm trying to show you like how I am thinking of writing an algorithm, a code, an implementation of this particular problem, right? Once I have this 400, what I will do is I'll add it into my temp. So temp will now become 400. I'll say okay, perfectly fine. Then I'll say since I have encountered a dot, so I'll add dot, right? Since in the else part, if I encounter a dot, so what I do in the else part? In the else part, I encounter a dot. So in the else part, what I'll do temp, I'll do answer, right? I'll update my answer. So up till now my answer is 100 dot. So now it will get updated to what? Answer plus is equal to temp plus dot, right? So again I'm adding dot, so that means 400 dot, right? This would be 400 and then another dot is there, right? This is the thing. Now I need to check further. So I'll mark my temp as null again, right? Okay, it's clear to everybody, right? Now thanks for the acknowledgement guys. Also, if you haven't liked the video, you can consider to like this video. I can see that the number of likes are less and number of people are watching are more, right? So now I'll have 0 1 0, right? If I have 0 1 0, right? If I am at this particular, right? Now my temp is null. If I'm at this particular 0, will I include it in my final answer or I'll not include it? If I have 0 1 0, will I include this 0? Will I do temp plus is equal to s of I? Will I do it? Or no? Will I do it? No, I'll not do it, right? Will I do it? No, I'll not do it because I want 10. Right? I want to remove all the leading zeros, right? I'll not do it. I'll not add this into my answer, right? I'll not add this into my temp. What will happen? I'll traverse through this. Let's suppose that this was something like this. Let's suppose that this was 0 0 1 0 0, right? If this was 0 0 1 0, right? Something like this. And if my pointer was here, right? So my temp will still be null. I'll not add this particular word, right? I'll not add it. So that's why I'll write and s of I does not equal to 0, right? S of I does not equal to 0, right? It should not be dot and it should not be 0. So I'll say okay, I'll not add it. I come to this word. I come to this particular letter, that is 0. Will I add it? No need to add it, right? Then I'll come to this. Will I add it? Yes, I'll add it. Why? Because it's not 0. So I'll say okay, temp is equal to 1. Then I come to this O. Will I add it? Yes, I'll add it. Why I'll add it? Because I already have some size existing, right? This is not a leading 0. So I'll add it, right? Right? So this is something that I'll do, right? Next up, what will happen? So this is the 10 that I've got, right? So then what will happen? I'll encounter this dot, right? I'll encounter this particular dot. So once I encounter this particular dot, so in the else part, what I will be doing is answer plus is equal to nothing but temp plus dot, right? Temp plus dot. So that means that 10 dot would be here, right? 10 dot would come here, right? This much part. All of you can consider to like this video, right? Now, next up, what will happen? Next up, I'll come to this last word, right? So what is the last word? Last word is nothing but 099. So I'll say, okay, I'm here. Will I add it? No, it's a leading 0. So I'll not add it, right? Up till now, if nothing is there in my temp and I get a leading 0, so I'll not add it. So I'll say, okay, I get to this. So will I add it into my temp? So temp is equal to 9. Then I come to this. Will I add it? Yes, I'll add it. Will I add this? Yes. So temp is equal to 999. And then what is happening? Notice. This is very much important part. That whether I'll be pushing one more dot with the temp or not, right? This is very much important for us to understand that whether I'll be pushing one more dot or not here, right? In this particular part, right? So now my I would be somewhere here, right? At the end. So I would be pointing to end in the end. So I'll check if my I is equal to end, then I will do answer plus is equal to temp and I'll not add a dot. If this is the last number, of my IP address, this particular number is the last number of my IP address, right? So that's why my I has reached the end. So that's why my I value is n. So if this is the last number, then I'll not do answer plus is equal to 10 plus dot. This is something that I'll not do if I am at the last word, right? So I'll only insert 999 here and not a dot, and I'll simply return this particular answer. Please write clear in the chat if this much part is clear to all of you, right? Please write a clear in the chat if this much part is clear to all of you, and then I can consider to move forward. Please give me a clear in the chat so that I can consider to move forward, right? A quick clear in the chat from all of you would help me, right? Please write clear in the chat if this much part is clear, right? How am I doing this? Why did I not add a last dot? Why did I not add answer plus is equal to dot here? Answer plus is equal to 10 plus dot. Why did I not do that? Because this was the last word, and after the last word I don't want a dot, right? All of you just give me a plus one, a quick plus one in the chat, so that I can move forward to the other case that I want to discuss with you guys, right? A quick plus one from everyone would help. A like to the video would help, right? I'm just waiting for 30 seconds more, and then I'll be approaching the other thing, right? The edge case that we have in this particular question, right? All of you can just give me a quick plus one in the chat, guys, please. And like the video, right? So that's why I'm not adding it. Now, next up, what I'll be doing is, next up, let's say the number is changed. Let's say I have this particular number. Let me change the number. Just give me a second. I'll just erase it. Till then, all of you can comment down a plus one. Please comment down a quick plus one if you have understood this much part, right? Okay, Shreya has understood it. What about others? What about others? All others also give me a plus one, quick plus one, right? Because I'm telling you the implementation parts. Else you can remove the last dot. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. Kiran, you can also do that. Kiran, what you can do is you can pop out the last dot, but that is not something that looks good, right? You should not have edge cases in your code. If I is equal to n, then in that case, if I is equal to n, so that in that case, what you do? Answer plus is equal to temp. You do just this part. So in that case, you will just add this last part, and you will not add a dot. This just writing this if condition will give a better impact on the interviewer. If you will do this, if you will tell the interviewer that how I not adding a last dot into my IP address, if you will tell this particular approach, then the interviewer will be very much satisfied with you, and the interviewer will be very much impressed with your approach, right? Because this is a cleaner approach. This is a clean approach, and that approach of removing the last dot is not that good. What if you forgot to remove the last dot? In that case, you might get a error, right? So that's why it's not recommended to do it like that, right? You can do it like that. The answer will always get accepted, but when you are in an interview, so such things matter, right? Now let's check for another IP address. Let's say if this was 0, 0 and 0, right? Now what will happen? My answer, let me see what my answer is. So my answer would be nothing but null. Initially my answer would be null. My temp is also null, right? So I'll start from here. So I'll say temp plus is equal to this. So I'll say okay, temp plus is equal to this. So temp will be this. Then what will happen? I'll come here. I encounter a dot. Whenever I encounter a dot, so is my I reached till n? No, my I has not reached till n. So in this case, what I'll do answer plus is equal to temp plus dot, right? This is something that I'll do. Temp plus dot, right? This is something that I'll do. Okay. So I'll add it. I'll say now my answer is 100 dot, right? 100 dot. Basically, you can says point or dot. I'm saying dot so that you can better understand it. So this would be 100 dot, right? Next up, what will happen? Next up, my temp will be again initialized to null. So I'll mark my temp as null again, right? And I'll start. So now my I is pointing where? My I is pointing here. Then my I will point here. Then my I will point here. So the temp will be storing 4, then 0 and 0. And then I'll encounter a dot. Now I encounter a dot again. So if I encounter a dot, so that means I have not reached the end, right? So that's why I'll do answer plus is equal to, again I'll do answer plus is equal to temp plus dot, right? This is something that I will do. So I'll do 400 dot. So I'll do 400 and then dot, another dot, right? This is what I would do. All of you can just like the video if you have just joined, right? This is something that I will do. Now next up, what I'll do is, next up I'll mark my temp as null again, right? My temp would become null again. Now what is happening? This is something special that's happening, right? I'm here. And what is happening is, I can see there is a 0. There is a leading 0. So I'll not add it into my temp. So my temp is not having anything. My temp is still null. I come to this, my I comes to this. So after this, my I comes to this. It is still 0. So I'll not add anything. Then after that, my I comes to this. So this is also 0. I'll not add anything, right? And then what happens? I reach this particular dot, right? This particular dot, I reach this particular dot. Now this, in this case, if you directly write dot 999, if you add this part and you do not give a 0, that will give you a wrong answer, right? So whenever you encounter dot, so you need to check an edge case that if up till now your temp is still null, right? Your temp is not having anything till here, right? For this particular thing, your temp is having still not anything, right? So temp is null. So that means you will need to check if the temp dot size is equal to 0, or you can say if the temp is null, if the temp dot size is equal to 0, or if the temp is null, if the temp size is 0 or temp is null, in that case you will say temp is equal to 0, right? You will add a 0 here. So that's why what will happen after this, you will check that if you haven't reached I is equal to n, then in that case you will do the same thing, that is answer plus is equal to nothing but temp plus dot, right? Temp plus dot. So I currently have a 0 and dot, so 0 will get added and then a dot, right? Like this, right? So now I'll mark my temp as null again, and I'll add the last word. So I'll come here, right? Let me show you how am I doing it, this, right? So what I'm doing is now instead of this, I have reached here till this point, right? So my temp is null currently. So will I add the 0? No, I'll not add it because it's a leading 0 and my temp is not having anything currently. Will I add this 9? Yes. So 9. So my pointer moves to this, and then it moves to the very end, right? So the last 9 was present at the index I is equal to n-1. So currently my I is pointing outside the IP address. So that is I is equal to n, right? I will be equal to n. So I need to check that if my I is equal to n, right? If my I is equal to n, then in that case what I'll do is I'll do answer plus is equal to temp only, because I'll not need to add a dot in the last, right? In the ending I don't need to add a dot, right? So that is something that I need to observe. So what will happen, this was 0, then I'll add this temp, so I'll add 999, right? Like this, and I'll simply return this answer, right? That is this answer. What is the answer? The answer is nothing but this, that is 100, then dot 400, then dot 0, dot 9, 9 and 9, right? Does this make sense? Is this much part clear to everyone? If this much part is clear, please give me a +1 in the chat, or please write clear in the chat so that I can move forward with the explanation part, right? Please consider giving me a quick +1 in the chat, and please like the video. If you have just joined, please give me a clear in the chat if this much part is clear, right? So that I can move to the code part. Now the thing is that the concept is clear, right? The concept and the approach is clear, right? Concept and approach. Everything we have discussed, right? And the edge cases also we have discussed, right? Now what you have to do in this particular problem, you just have to implement this problem, right? You have to implement this problem, right? This is something that you have to do. How will you implement this particular problem? Let me show you the code part for that. It's very simple. As I've explained, it's as simple, as sleek as that. I'll let you know. Just give me a second. So first of all, I'll show you that my code is running. So I'll just submit it to just show you that my code will get accepted. So you can see that my code is running, and you can see that it passed all the test cases, right? All the 150 test cases it has passed. Now let me show you how the code part is working. So I'll store n, right? I'll store n. N is what? N is nothing but the size of the string. Then my answer is equal to null. As I told you, initially the answer would be null. All of you can just like the video if you haven't done that, and you can give me a +1, right? After that, I'll mark my temp as null. Every time I'm starting with a new word, I'll mark my temp as null, right? Then I'll do what? I'll check if my I is lesser than n. So whenever my I is lesser than n and I'm encountering a 0, right? If my I is lesser than n and I'm encountering a 0, in that case I need to move forward, right? If I have 0 0 0, so I need to move my I from this, then I need to move from I for this, and whenever I encounter a word, then only I'll be adding it, right? So if my I is lesser than n and my S of I is not equal to 0, right? If I am lesser than n, if I'm in my boundaries, then only I'll be able to check S of I, right? So if I'm lesser than n and my S of I is not equal to dot, in that case I'll keep on adding the particular word and I'll keep on updating my index, right? I'll keep on updating my I, so I plus plus I'll be doing. So I'll check if my temp dot size is 0, or I can say if my temp is null. In that case, as I told you, that there would be what? There could be a situation like 0 0 0, right? So in that case, you need to represent it as single 0, right? Because that's very necessary. Otherwise, the IP address would be invalid, right? So GFG server would fail, right? So if temp dot size is equal to 0, so in that case, you will mark your temp as 0. And why? Because you need a dot, right? So after dot, you will put 0, then another number that you are having, right? So that's why you will do it this. And you need to check if your I is lesser than n, if you are still inside the boundary, right? If you haven't reached till the end, if your I is equal to n, then you will do answer plus is equal to temp. Otherwise, you will do answer plus is equal to temp plus dot, right? You will add a dot only if you have another number remaining, right? Another number is there, then you will add a dot. Otherwise, if you have reached I is equal to n, in that case you will just do answer plus is equal to temp, right? You will not add a dot for the last number, you will not add a dot. That is why you are doing this in the else part. If I is equal to n, then in that case you will not add a dot. So answer plus is equal to temp. Otherwise, if I is lesser than n, in that case you will do answer plus is equal to temp plus dot, right? In the end, you simply return the answer. So this particular approach, for this particular approach, what's the thing? What's the time complexity for this particular approach, right? So the time complexity for this particular approach is nothing but order of n, and it's a simple implementation based question, right? So that's why I always recommend all of you people to solve the problem of the day on GFG, right? And this was, believe me, this was an easy problem also. Although it has been written as something hard, but it's a very easy problem, right? So that's why you should try to do is, you can like the video, you can give me a +1 in the chat. I am here for 60 seconds more to address your doubts. If you have anything, if you want to ask anything, you can ask me. Okay, now coming back, if you like my explanation, if you like my way of explaining, so this is another channel that we have. This is nothing but Codera. So you will find the channel in the featured section, featured channel of this particular channel, GFG practice, or you can search for just code space error and you will get this particular channel. It has this much subscribers and this much numbers. You will my photo here, so you can consider to watch all the videos that I have published here. Like I publish daily here, I do daily live streams here. Apart from this, if you are someone who is into competitive programming, who is into something like DSA, everything is covered on this channel. Lead code, code forces, ad coder, everything is covered. We have Ayush Gupta with us, we have Hitesh Tripathi with us. Both guys are great apart from me, right? So you can consider to subscribe this channel. It will help us a lot. Thanks a lot everyone for watching. I'm just here for 30 seconds more to address any other doubts. Otherwise, I'll end the session. You can just give me a +1 in the chat so that I know that everything was clear, crystal clear to all of you. And then I'll end this session, right? So the space complexity would be order of n as well. That is the size of the string, and the space time complexity would also be a yes, you can do that. But the thing is, when you are in an interview, right? Suppose that this question was asked in an interview. If this question was asked in an interview, then try to do without inbuilt function, right? Try to do these things without inbuilt functions, right? It will create a positive impact on the interview, right? That is why I suggest try to use the inbuilt functions as less as possible. Try to write your own logic, your own code. Then the interviewer will be impressed more, and it will create a lot of impact. Writing your own customized things for taking the dot part and everything doesn't take much time, and it will help you. It will help to create an impression on the interviewer. It will help you to stand apart from the crowd, right? So that's why it will help. Everyone will not everyone can implement this question, right? So if you will implement this without using the C++, STL or the libraries functions, in that case it will be much more beneficial, right? Without using the inbuilt methods, if you will do this, so it will be much better. You can write a +1 or a clear in the chat, everyone. If everything is clear to you, thanks a lot. I have tried. It takes much more time. Yes, it will take much more time to run, right? So that's why this is better, right? Writing your own code and in the simplest way possible, it's better. The time complexity for this code is order of n, and the space complexity for this code is also order of n, right? So that's it for today. Thanks a lot everyone for watching. I'll see you soon in the next live, in the next problem with a new problem. Thanks a lot for watching. Till then, guys, keep coding.